We're going to get started. Now, of course, you can see the bevel that we have on our tool, and that rests against our piece. The tool rest is set at the right height. And we're going to go in, and this rests against that work, and then we just lift it until it starts cutting. You don't want to go too much because you use the bevel to support your cutting edge. So you can see one of the things to keep in mind is that your bark is going to be coming off. So be cautious. So you can see from the overhead cam here just how nice that grain is looking. Now, remember when I set this up, this part here that's our knot was just touching our tool rest. So we've removed a significant amount. So now that this is down a little bit, I'll show you a little more about how our tool rests against the wood. So you have that bevel resting, and then you just pick up your handle. So I always like to have my hand like this, and then I just pick my handle up so that it starts cutting. See, it's not going to cut. Your bevel is rubbing. You just want to engage your edge, just like that. So, and then speed and feed. You can see the lines on here. Okay, that's from an uneven speed and feed combination. Now, that's the bowl gouge. This is our spindle gouge. So you can see the spindle gouge has a different grind and a different bevel. Similar, but different. So, of course, a narrower tool, but you can see, you should be able to see that from the overhead camera there, how that is engaging the piece. And then you lift. This one has a longer handle, gives you a little bit better leverage. If you're going in like this, it's going to grab your piece. That's how you get those things, is you're just engaging. You lift a bit so that you're cutting, but then you lift too much and you grab and it lifts that piece up. So this is just a bowl gouge that's been worn down. It broke. So I could put a different grind on this, but this is just what I have. I would like what they call an Irish grind, which comes back a little bit more, but I'm just going to buy one like that. Anyway, you can see that just cuts pretty well. And it's just the bevel's resting on the tool. See? And you can see there. Just turn it. We're resting. Just give it a little tiny lift and up it goes. Now, probably the most dangerous, possibly, if you're not experienced, the skew is, yeah. So this is your bevel and you're resting. A lot of people use this for finishing their pieces, and I'm not even holding it right. I do not use my skew very much, and it's just a very wide cutting surface. And yeah, you know what? I'm gonna throw caution to the elephant in the closet and use the skew. So as you can see, look how nice that is. All right, that's almost finished product right there. As you can see, it's a totally different cutting style. And you're engaging the wood, you're going with the speed and the feed. You have to make sure that you're not digging your tip in. So you have to really focus on slicing across that piece. And that is a very sharp skew. If you didn't see the video I just did on honing and sharpening your tools, be sure to check that out, because we had that on the stone. It's very sharp. But you can see from the overhead camera. So this was our roughing bowl, or our roughing gouge. And this was where the skew was. So you can see totally nice and smooth all the way across. The last one I'll talk about is the one I call the bowl breaker. Because look how small that bevel is. There's not much there. So when you're doing this one, you're not resting your cutting edge on the bevel against your work. You're resting your tool back here. So your cutting edge is engaging the work. So I'll do that one quick. You can see that I already have this too far away from the piece. So I'm going to move this one in a little bit closer so we can get right in there. The skew is like a shaving tool. Then I'm just going to demonstrate this one a little bit more, and then we're going to move to our cutoff tool. So that kind of gives you an idea of what you can do with this tool. I'm going to go across here and clean this up with this one. And of course my glasses are fogging up. The last tool I'm going to go over is our parting tool. This would be a tool where you go in just like that. Your cutting edge is on top here. Right? So you're coming in and still resting your bevel against your work and just going in and cutting. So I'm going to work on this, maybe cut that away and straighten this out so that I can get a foot in there. I'll work on this piece a little bit more. Another thing to consider when you're turning is to notice different cutting methods, different cutting tools have different shavings. So you could see from the bowl breaker and my parting tool that our chips were just this really fine dust. All right, that's the stuff that was coming off. That fine dust is what comes off of the bowl breaker and the parting tool. And that's because of how it's cutting your wood. Then for our skew is taking a really fine cut and it's giving us really fine, thin chips. Kind of like these here. Right, that's what comes off from using the skew. Now when you're using this one, you're getting much bigger chips like this. So based on the tool, you get a different cut. Different tools have different ways or purposes. Different chips come off your wood based on how the tool is cutting, but they all have the same principle. You have the bevel resting against the wood, or the work, I should say. And then you're just lifting, you're just giving it a lift. And that is engaging your cutting edge on your work. The problem comes when you go too much and the piece grabs and takes your tool, or if you're, let's say, if you're cutting on an angle this way and this edge here cuts. That's a common one. It's how you're addressing the piece. So if you're on the side like this, because you want to use this piece, and then you lift a little too much and away it goes. So when you're turning, watch where your edges are. This one is meant to cut this way. Our spindle gouge, see how that goes around? Okay, that one you could actually do this. And you're not going to run that same risk because you're using that wide part of your tool and you have a good bevel for doing that. This one, yeah, you could still do that if you catch this top part of the tip there. You catch that. So those are the 4 main tools that I use. Hopefully that answers your question. Remember that everything, all the cutting tools have a bevel. You rest the bevel on the work, you raise the tool up, you engage the cutting edge, and away you go. If you do it too much so that you're taking away the support that the bevel gives you, you're going to run into trouble. So it's the same thing even with a wood chisel. You rest that bevel against your work and you raise it up just so that you engage your cutting edge. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Do check us out on the social medias. We'd love for you to leave a comment down below here on the video. And please give us a thumbs up, a like, and a subscribe.